Bilang alumni nitong school na to, gusto kong makatulong sa mga bata na matuto when it comes to technology, lalo na sa panahon ngayon. Napansin ko na napag-iiwanan na itong paaralan na to na pinanggalingan ko.
People here are very thankful. They really appreciate the blessing that came to them this afternoon. It's a way for our kababayans here, the small children here, to catch up with the technology gap.
Ilalagay po natin ang mga laptop na ito po sa computer lab at ito po ay gagamitin ng mga mag-aaral natin na 199 na mga bata para po sila ay mas lalong maging bihasa sa paggamit po ng mga computers.
Gusto kong magpasalamat sa ASUS Philippines at saka sa ASUS Foundation sa napakalaking tulong na binigay nila sa Lamo Elementary School.
Naniniwala po ako na sa pamamagitan ng mga donations na ito na ibinigay po ng ASUS Philippines ay maadresan po natin ang kakulangan ng kaalaman ng ating mga bata ng paggamit ng computers para po sila ay maging globally competitive in the future. I trust ASUS.
I trust ASUS.
Want an e-wallet with free cash in? Try PayMaya and enjoy so much more. PayMaya, too good to be number 2. Pag sinabing e-wallet, ano ang naiisip mo? Dapat PayMaya, cause we have real-time transaction history and so much more. PayMaya, too good to be number 2. Pag sinabing e-wallet, ano ang naiisip mo? Dapat PayMaya, cause we have over 1,500 billers and load items and so much more. PayMaya, too good to be number 2. Pag sinabing e-wallet, ano ang naiisip mo? Dapat PayMaya, cause we have 99.9% uptime and so much more. PayMaya, too good to be number 2.
As Oracle's global philanthropic educational program, Oracle Academy advances computing education around the world to increase knowledge, innovation, skills development, and diversity in technology fields. The program engages with thousands of educational institutions and educators in more than 120 countries, helping millions of students become college and career ready.
Algebra University College is the biggest private higher educational organization in the Republic of Croatia, and we joined Oracle Academy program, and it helped us to gain our position, and it's helping our students and our teachers.
Oracle Academy introduces students to computing with engaging hands-on experience through workshops, classroom curriculum, and Oracle Academy Education Bites.
Oracle Academy has provided me with an extensive knowledge on computing, and it has also greatly improved my skills. I can view the resources, do practices, and do reviews on my own, so it has really given me a lot of flexibility, and it has also helped me to learn independently and in my own pace.
I think one of the great things about teaching computing is how often it changes, and Oracle Academy have been at the forefront of many of those changes through the years. With the curriculum that they provide, it means you can teach up-to-date technologies to students that otherwise wouldn't be made aware of.
We've been using Oracle Academy curricula since 1998, 1999. The students are benefiting from the Oracle Academy collaboration. It's very important because Oracle knows very well how to teach, how to provide courses, how to provide curricula.
Oracle Academy helps students prepare for professional certification.
Oracle Academy could offer me knowledge about data science and database foundations. Certification is very important to me. It will help me to get a good job.
Our engaging curriculum plus industry-leading Oracle technologies spark curiosity and imagination.
We are incorporating curriculum of Oracle Academy with a curriculum of Marwadi University, which will help students to bridge gap between industry and academia.
We are actively using Oracle Academy Java course materials, which are great supplement to our curriculum. Currently, we have integrated the Oracle Academy Java Foundations curriculum into the AWO Science and Technology High School curriculum.
As a faculty member, it is always inspiring to hear my students sharing their success stories and how Oracle Academy courses play an important role in making their journey even more successful.
Oracle Academy trains and empowers teachers.
From this training, I received Oracle full e-learning curriculum for database, sample exam question, and Oracle resources for learning database design and database programming with SQL. These tools and learning material help me improve how I teach my database courses and my research in artificial intelligence.
Databases were a tough subject for me, since I really didn't understand them quite well. The dedication of my teacher and her passion in teaching helped and inspired me to work harder. Every time I saw her outside classes, she was learning from Oracle's courses, working hard on getting new information for us.
Oracle Academy works with institutions and educators to help students prepare for fulfilling careers.
So it's very important for the students to learn to computer science, programming. Now they have the curriculum, they have tools, they can access to all the software package that Oracle sells, and they can work in the products that they will use in their life job.
The computer science job market in my country, it is quite healthy. The demand is bigger than the offer.
I think to be very successful in global industries, I think you have to have a good skills and excellent skills in programming and in database knowledge as well.
I teach a population of students that love technology but aren't always represented, and their thoughts are going to be able to change the world.
Oracle Academy helps increase diversity in computing and breaks down barriers to learning computing. Join Oracle Academy members in changing the world.
Hello, good morning once again, and welcome to the second day of Y4IT 2021. My name is Monique Cardenas, and I will be joining you today as you learn get inspired, and get excited from today's discussions and activities. How are you guys? Kumusta kayo? Sino yung mga kasama natin dito kahapon? Pwede ko ba makita sa chat? Present. Ayan, si Mitch, si Kala. Present si Rick. Yesterday, Annalyn, Jaili, Chris. Wow, thank you very much from Lucena, from Santa Rosa, Laguna. Hello, hello, guys. I hope you are all safe, especially our kababayans in North Luzon, no? Medyo maulan ngayon. But thank you for sharing your rainy morning with us. All right, so guys, yesterday we learned a lot from our speakers, from the panel discussion, and today is another day of learning and fun. All right, guys. So now, to formally begin day 2, we would like to introduce to you the head of UP Diliman's Computer Science Service and Software Engineering Laboratory. He is also the holder of the UP Alumni Engineer Centennial Professional Chair and a founder of Tech Factors Inc. and series editor of the Tech Factors courseware. Let us all welcome Dr. Jaime Caro.
Hello, good afternoon. Yes, morning, sorry. Welcome to the 19th Y4IT Youth Congress for Information Technology. This is the 19th. We started this in 2003. So Y4IT is almost as old as most of you who are attending here. At its height, we got as many as 22,000 attendees in our face-to-face Congress, held concurrently in 6 venues in UP Diliman at its height. We got participants from all over Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, from Batanes to Tawi-Tawi. And they flew the ones from Visayas, Mindanao would fly to all the way to Manila. We got buses, Roro buses from Masbate, Marinduque, Panay Island, from all over Panay Island, coming to Manila for the Y4IT. Those were the days of, yes, face-to-face events, big events, field trips for schools. It was fun. Now we are holding the second virtual Y4IT during this pandemic times. We have around 9,000 registered participants. We had more than 9,000 last year, and again around that same number this year. Like before, we are getting participants from Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, but now we even get participants from abroad, from Hong Kong, and from the Middle East, and from elsewhere, India and elsewhere. You are joining the Y4IT alumni roll that number more than 100,000. So as an employer, I would often get job applications where Y4IT is listed as one of the congresses and events attended by the applicant. It's heartwarming to feel that we started this many years ago. Yes, 19 years ago. When we were still young and, yes, part of the youth. You are now another generation of Y4IT attendees. You, the millennials, the technology natives, were born with smartphones, gadgets, and the internet. Technology has changed so much since the first Y4IT. You are faced with a new environment. You will see in your lifetime millions of jobs replaced by automation. like self-driving cars, automated call center agents, and many more. But at the same time, new jobs have been created. Jobs that didn't exist 19 years ago. Jobs like, or were little known then, like jobs like data scientist, information security analyst, data privacy officer, virtual reality content developer, drone operators. These are full-time jobs, okay? Data visualization specialist, online tutor, online content evaluation specialist, data warehouse specialist, MOOCs course developers, that's massive online open courseware, swarm robot programmers, and other jobs. So many other jobs. And yet, many of the old jobs will remain. Study shows that many of the jobs cannot really be replaced by machines. Jobs like systems analysts, software architects, teachers, doctors, nurses, physical therapists, even computer programmers will not be replaced by machines. A challenge for us all is to keep ourselves updated with the changing times, changing technologies, continue learning, continue making yourself relevant. Always learn new skills, new IT skills, new competencies, new technologies. Analysis and problem solving skills are so important. Systems design skills are important. Project management skills are much in demand. So I challenge you, everyone, to ensure that you are prepared for a future that no one can predict yet. Welcome to Y4IT, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day, and until tomorrow.
Thank you, Dr. Jaime Caro. All right, so now we will have a short message for everyone sent by Senator Sonny Angara.
Hello po. Greetings to our friends at the UP IT System Foundation led by former USEC Monchito Ibrahim. And the participants, I'd like to greet all the participants of the Youth Congress. And I think I'm preaching to the choir. Hindi ko na masyadong kailangan i-build up yung importansya po ng IT and being competitive in the IT, BPO, ICT field dahil kayong lahat mga kabataan ay mga digital natives. You probably grew up on your devices and spend a great deal of time on your devices in the digital world. So alam nyo na po ito, but nonetheless, since I was asked to give a few remarks, allow me to mention. First of all, I'd like to mention the crucial role of USEC Ibrahim. And we collaborated when he was still at the DICT as a USEC, and even before that, when DICT was not yet created, and there was only the I think ICTO office, if I'm not mistaken, no. And importanteng personalidad si USEC Monchito sa pagpapalawak ng ating IT BPO world, attracting investors, keeping them here, making sure their concerns are addressed. And I pay tribute to him for that. And I was one of the authors of the law creating the DICT. And I was also the budget sponsor for, I think, 2 or 3 years of the DICT, about 4 or 5 years ago. So, and I was a big supporter of, the biggest supporter probably in the legislature, of his rural impact sourcing program. Ito pong rural impact sourcing, ito po'y naglalagay po tayo ng infrastruktura, digital infrastructure sa malalayong lugar sa provinces, and we have makeshift call centers. Akala mo warehouse lang pala. It's like a call center or a knowledge processing center na merong mga college graduates like in places like Lanao Norte, and we source our workforce from the graduates of Iligan, Marawi State University in Iligan, na may mahuhusay na mga graduates in the digital sphere. So, you know, yung World Bank, sabi nila of the 10, I think it's the World Bank or the World Economic Forum who said of the 10 future economic growth areas, 4 doon are squarely in the digital field, no? You have artificial intelligence, data analytics, software and solutions-based engineering, cloud computing, among others, no? So these are potential careers for the young na pwedeng pasukan, and kami naman po sa gobyerno kailangan namin suportahan ito. That's why we've been pushing for certain pieces of legislation other than budget support. We have the digital transformation bill, the digital competitiveness and digital skills bills, and the digital payments bill na to create the environment in government and to mandate yung ating mga ahensya, lahat ng ahensya ng gobyerno suportahan po yung pagkaroon ng kabataan ng mga digital skills. So in agencies like TESDA and CHED, magbigay ng scholarships, DTI to give incentives, and of course the ICT to develop the digital infrastructure. So good luck po sa inyo lahat. I'm happy you're attending this youth forum. I'm happy Yusek Ibrahim is at the helm of projects like this, and of course you have our full support. Please let us know what else we can do to improve the position of the country and give everyone, our youth, a brighter future in digital careers and futures. Salamat po, mabuhay kayong lahat.
Thank you, Senator Angara. Now, our next speakers are actually father and son. Mr. Joey Gorango is currently chairman of the Capiz ICT Council. He is now serving as a director and coach for Servio Technologies, Surpass, AID, Office Guru, Code Scholarship Fund, and the Mijares Gorango Cranlo Facial Foundation. Joining him is his son, JC, who is a full-stack developer and the author of Denim, a low-code development tool for creating enterprise-grade business applications.
Good morning. Welcome to everybody. Greetings from a social distance. My name is Joey Gorango, as they introduced me. And I'm here to get this session started about what it's like to be a developer or a programmer. Okay, and just to get things started, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I mean, I'm older than probably all of you, but when I started my career in IT, I started out as a programmer. And I'm self-taught. I don't have a college degree, but I did teach myself how to program. And I was a professional developer for probably the first 20 years of my career before I shifted from doing that to running my own company full-time. And I haven't actually programmed in about 15 years, which is why for this session, when they invited me to do this, I suggested that rather than listening to me talk about how to be what it's like to be a programmer, I would bring along somebody who is still a programmer or a professional developer. And that is my son, my youngest son. And he'll introduce himself later on, but his name is JC. So he'll be doing most of the narrating in this session. The way we structured this now is that I'll be doing a bit of an introduction like I'm doing now. He'll be doing a bit of an introduction, and I've prepared 6 questions to ask him along the way. It's only 20 minutes, so we can't spend too much time on any of the questions. But the good thing is JC will be joining the panel later on. I think at 11 o'clock today, he'll be joining the panel discussion. And if you have any questions for him, you can certainly ask them. Okay, so that's it. Without any further ado, I'd like to introduce the main speaker the real narrator for this session, which is my son, professional developer, JC Garango. Come on, come on, come on. There you go. There's
Hello.
JC. So
Hi.
tell him a little bit about yourself, JC.
Hi, I'm JC. I've been working as a software developer for the last 9 years. I grew up here in the Philippines, and when I was 15, I graduated high school, and my dad basically gave me a choice. He said, "Do you want to start working, or do you want to go to college?" And he knew I was into computers. Growing up, I'd always mess with my IT teacher in school and screw up the computers one way or another. So I guess he just wanted to test me. I took an internship, and to everyone's surprise, I passed just fine, and I got regularized at that company. I worked in that job for a few years before I decided I should try and branch out and freelance on my own and on the side just to make a little extra money. And that side gig ended up making me more money than my job. So I decided to just freelance, just do that, for money. And that's where I'm at now. So now I write software independently and I work like directly with clients.
Okay, thanks, JC. I'm glad that you're able to introduce yourself to our audience today. So as I said, I prepared 6 questions, which are probably the most commonly asked questions for people who are looking to get into IT, to get into programming. So let me start with the first question and then I'll go from there. Okay, so first question, what's your typical work day like as a professional developer?
Well, a typical day for me probably has me waking up at like 12. I could wake up later or earlier like today if I wanted to, but I feel like I'm not really a morning person. And if I wake up afternoon, I don't feel so good. Anyway, I'd get up and then I would just kind of chill for a bit, try to defrost. Um, I'll drink some coffee. Like every night, I make some cold brew coffee to drink when I wake up, and I don't know, maybe play with my cats. And after a little bit of reading or watching videos, I'll do some programming for 3 or 4 hours, something like that. And then after that, I might take a break. I mean, usually my workday also consists of other things. Like I do have to sometimes meet with people or like talk to clients, that kind of thing. But yeah, I'll work for 3 or 4 hours. I'll take a little break to maybe play some video games or like work on some of my hobbies or play with my cats. And then after an hour or so, I'll go back to work for a few more hours, and then I'll call it a day and spend the rest of the evening playing with my friends or hanging out with my fiance. Of course, sometimes I do end up taking a really long break, and I have to like spend the rest of the evening working to get something done. But it's really up to me how I want to manage my time, as long as I'm around to chat and people aren't upset if things aren't getting done.
So it seems like you have a fairly varied work day, which usually starts at a little afternoon, and you could probably go quite late in the evening, and sometimes maybe early in the morning, which is I think typical of a lot of programmers. They do their best work at night, but it seems like you have a very varied day. Although the biggest chunk of time is spent doing programming. And so that's what I want to go with the next question on this thing called programming. So what exactly is programming work? I mean, when you say I do some programming, what is that exactly?
Well, so a lot of the people here, probably think that programming is coding, like actually writing code, which, yeah, I mean, you do code, you do have to code to program, of course. But that's a lot like saying playing guitar is just playing the right notes in the right order, or saying that speaking is saying the right words in the right order. It's a lot more than that. What programming is to me is codifying the real world, which is like messy and unpredictable, into a system that's easy to understand for people and easy to interact with. The best software in the world is totally transparent. Like you shouldn't even know that it's there, that there's some piece of technology doing something for you. So the best software developers in the world have to have this really deep understanding of the needs of the people that they're writing the software for. And they also need to have the problem solving skills to solve those problems using, well, software systems. And so it's really just like solving word problems all day, except they're like actually real scenarios, if that makes sense.
So it's about problem solving more than anything else, it seems.
Yeah.
Do you see? And when you talk about problem solving, does that mean that you have to be a whiz at mathematics?
Not necessarily. You can also just be kind of good at thinking through problems in general, just like talking through them, and you yourself could still be a programmer. It's not all about math. There's some algebra to it.
It's more about logic, problem
Yeah.
solving logic than math, right? Because some people think that you have to be a whiz at calculus or something like that to be a good programmer. And it sounds like no, you don't have to be.
You do for some industries. If you're mapping statistics or something, definitely you'd want to have some kind of background in mathematics. But like a lot of the systems that I write are like HR or like trying to sell services, e-commerce. So like I don't, you generally don't need to know a lot of math for that.
Okay. Let's move on to our third question. The third question is, so anybody here who is looking to get into IT, they want to get into the IT industry. Does that mean that if you want to get into IT, you have to be a programmer? Does someone have to be a programmer to get into the IT industry?
Well, I would say no matter what industry you're in, I think you can really benefit from at least learning to code. Like I think code is becoming a very fundamental skill, and especially since we're starting to rely more and more on computers to do stuff for us, it'd be good to know what that's doing. Also, like learning to solve problems in a linear fashion, like you would with writing software, is very useful in a multitude of industries. Like, I think anytime somebody uses the term resourceful to mean something like the person is very intuitive with using the stuff that he has to make things work, I feel like that term resourceful says that somebody thinks like a programmer, even though they're not necessarily a programmer. But other than programmers, I mean, there's a lot going on in IT, and there's many jobs that you can do that doesn't actually involve developing the software. For example, QA testing is necessary and important and often overlooked. Like, I, as a software developer, can write some very fancy automated tests and make sure every little corner of the system has like a test that covers it. But nothing can really compare to a human being using your system and getting incredibly frustrated at some of the decisions you've made. Like, you can write a test to make sure that a button does what you think it should do, but you can't write a test to make sure that you think it should do the right thing. Like, some decisions you have to make, and sometimes you're going to get it wrong. And other than QA, there's also people who manage the IT infrastructure. A lot of companies are moving to the cloud now, with AWS and Google and Azure. But somebody is still back there at Amazon or Google, making sure everything is working, making sure all the hardware is connected. I read that Google has a hard drive failure every hour or so. Somebody has to replace those and cost it and manage the logistics of that and give everybody laptops. There's also many situations where cloud isn't practical, like at a bank or at any kind of government system. So for those scenarios, you need somebody who knows how to put stuff together and make things work. And even if your company uses AWS or Google Cloud or Azure, somebody still has to manage all of that infrastructure. It's not like you just say, here's my software, make it work. It's a job as well, and that's called DevOps. So there's a lot of stuff in IT other than programming, and even other than those, like somebody just has to like talk to clients. Somebody needs to be speaking to them, and you get paid a lot more if you can do that.
So it sounds like, JC, that the answer is no, you don't have to be a programmer to get into IT, that there are many other job roles and other career opportunities within the IT industry that does not require you to do programming work, that you don't have to be a programmer. But what I caught at the beginning of what you said, though, is that it does help, not just in IT, but in any profession, to be a good problem solver, which is essentially what a programmer does. So I guess another way to put it is that you don't have to be a programmer to get into IT, but if you want to get into IT and excel at it, having a programmer's mindset would be very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And also in other industries, just being that guy who solves problems is very useful.
Okay, let's move on to our next question. And you've been doing this now, like you said, for 9 years. I've been in the IT industry for over 35 years. But it would be interesting to know, since you've been in it just the last 9 years, when I'm no longer the programmer, but I do other stuff now. In the last 9 years and the time that you've been a professional programmer, what would you say have been the major challenges, the difficulties that you've had to face that you think people should know about before they get into this line of work?
I think the most challenging part is just trying to connect or square what people expect and the reality of software. Because software breaks, and you can make it so that a software breakdown doesn't like destroy things. You can isolate systems to make sure that this thing doesn't break that thing. But you really can't stop software from breaking sometimes. I mean, we just saw like a few days ago, I think that was last week, that Facebook went down. They're the biggest company, one of the biggest companies in the world, and they hire some of the most intelligent people in the world, and yet sometimes their software just breaks down. And even the software they use at NASA for the Apollo missions, they broke sometimes. And I think the reason is that software and IT in general is a very young industry. It's not like being a doctor or a carpenter where the tools of the trade are standardized and there's standard procedures. Like there's only really one way to do a tracheotomy. IT and computers have only been around for like 60 years, if you're gonna be generous about it. And the biggest software companies today, like Microsoft and Apple, they only came about in the 80s. That's only 40 years ago. That's within a lot of people's lifetimes. And many people remember a day when there was no Apple or Google. And even if you're not that old, you probably remember when Google wasn't that big. Although now that I think about it, probably a lot of you don't remember a time.
I think you're talking about people like me who remember a time when there was no Google, there was no Apple, there was no Microsoft, there was no Amazon. I think most of the people in our audience, JC, don't remember that time because they would have not yet been born.
Yeah, but other than being a young industry, it's moving faster than any other industry, and it kind of has to, because there's always new needs for software. There's always like new scenarios where you need to use software. It's like, if you think about something like automation, right? You're constantly making new automations for new processes, and so the tools have to keep evolving. But at a point it does start to feel like I was a carpenter, and every year they're coming out with a new hammer that for some reason doesn't work with the old nails. But you just have to adapt and try to keep up.
I think a good analogy for the not just the newness, but the rate at which the demand for software is accelerating is kind of when the internal combustion engine, which we use in all transportation, was developed. I mean, that was in the early 1900s. And as soon as they kind of got that going, it became quite apparent that everybody wanted one. The demand was just so great that they couldn't make them fast enough. They couldn't get them out fast enough. So today, the same thing is happening with software. It's a fairly new industry. It's a fairly new, I guess you could say, production type industry. But the demand is so great that we can't make software fast enough because there aren't enough programmers to make software fast enough so that they can meet the demands of the market. So it's a demand thing, right? And since we're talking about demand, the fact that there's a lot of demand and supply, the truth is, and I think you know this, not just in the Philippines, but globally, there is a shortage of experienced programmers, of good programmers. So when you have a supply and demand problem like that, obviously that affects prices, right? Just like in any economics problem. So I guess the next question, which I'm sure a lot of people are interested in, given that the demand is so great and the supply is so small, that should tend to drive prices up. Well, what can they, if they become a professional programmer, what can they expect to earn as a professional programmer? What do you say to them?
I don't know a lot about the the corporate world. I haven't spent a lot of time there. But I will say when I was working for a company, I was making between 20 and 40,000 a month. But if you're going to talk about like freelancing, like what I do now, I don't think anybody will hire you as a freelancer until you have some work to show. You got to remember that the people who are hiring freelancers, they're usually not like big companies. They're usually either individuals or companies of a few people that want somebody who will just get the thing done already. And you have to know how to get the thing done. So you have to prove that you can do the job. So generally speaking, fresh out of high school or college, you just have to get a regular job. And that doesn't need to be a programming job. I have friends who didn't work as programmers and just did something else while they learned and tried to build a portfolio. Like I know one guy who did like the subtitles for TV and movies, which is kind of boring, but it didn't drain him and it gave him enough free time to learn how to program. And I know another guy who worked in a call center, and he was like learning when he wasn't taking calls, and he worked on some projects, on the weekends. He just knew some people who need software. So the bottom line is you need something, just anything to show to potential clients and say, hey, here's some work I've done. Maybe you want me to make something for you. And, because of the demand problem, as you said, people aren't that picky unless they have a lot of money. So
it seems to me like you're answering the question by basically saying, in the early days of entering this profession, whether you do work as a employee or as a freelancer, if that's even possible, don't expect this to be a high-paying job, because what you're trying to get at that beginning is experience. And actually, even if your first job wasn't programming, what you should be doing is you need to pay the bills first of all, and support yourself. But you can actually spend time away from your regular job, gaining the experience, gaining the skills, gaining the knowledge, so that in 4 or 5 years' time, maybe you will be capable enough to get a good paying programming job, whether that's in a corporate environment or in a freelancer. But so let's kind of let's go fast forward. You said, and I know this for a fact, entry-level programmers, you're looking at maybe 15 to 20,000 pesos a month is a typical salary for depending on where you are and what company it is. But that's a
Yeah,
typical
I made
entry
less
level.
than that as an intern. So
Yeah, when you were an intern, I know you made less than that when you were an intern, but that's because that was an intern, right?
Yeah.
But that's entry level. But that's give people an idea what happens later on. Like in your case, you've been doing this for 9 years now.
Okay.
At about the 5 or 6 year mark in your career, when you were already working as a freelancer, what can people expect to be earning at that point? 5 to 6 years of experience.
Okay. So well, when I left the company and started freelancing to start with, I was making like 30,000 for a part-time position. So if I did the full-time, I imagine I would have made like 60,000. I had like 4 years of experience. And that's probably just because I was working with foreign clients. I'm not sure how much people here in the Philippines would pay, but there's a lot of foreign clients. So I don't think you should be afraid like you're not going to get work. After you have even more experience than that though, especially once you start working with some clients and they start giving you feedback that you can show to other people, you can easily be making 50 to 100,000 a month. And some people are concerned about freelancing because it might be seasonal and there's not always work to do. And yeah, there's downtime, but I don't think I've ever been out of work for more than a few weeks, except for vacations. And if you're good at it, the amount you get paid makes up for the downtime. You just get more free time.
So it sounds like that if you're good at it and you experience 4, 5, maybe 6 years of experience, and you're good at it, and you're able to, I guess, talk to people in a relatively good manner, that making over 50,000, 100,000 in income a month is not unusual. Would that be correct to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So that gives our audience an idea. If you do this for 5 or 6 years and you're pretty good at it, then there's no reason why you can't be making 6 figures in your monthly income for this. Okay. So we gotta wrap this up real quick now because we're getting close to the end of our session. So let me ask the last question of you before we end, which is, what advice would you give to someone who wants to be a professional programmer? So this is like for our audience right now, they're mostly either high school or just got out of high school, young people, and they're thinking, should I be a professional programmer? And if they say, yes, I want to be a professional programmer, what advice would you give them now that they have not yet begun that career? What should they be doing now? And what advice would you give them to prepare themselves to become a professional programmer?
I'd say just go to code.org or codeacademy.com and just try it. They have puzzles and it'll show you a little bit about what it means to think like a programmer. So see if you like it. You can find out today if software development is for you. There's no barrier to entry. Like all the tools are free, and the things that aren't free probably aren't worth the money. So yeah, just try it. Go to code.org or codeacademy.com, see if it's for you. And if you like it, well, just keep doing it. And like, don't stress about what programming language to take or anything. You can always learn another. They're all the same.
It sounds like JC, and I happen to share the same sentiment. Getting started as a professional programmer does not mean enrolling in a BSIT or BS Computer Science degree program. That's not necessarily the way to start, although you can certainly do that. But it sounds to me like what you're saying is that try it out. First of all, determine whether it's something that you enjoy doing. Is it something that you like to do? And you can go to, as you said, code.org or Code Academy and try out the puzzles. They're free. Try out the puzzles there. See if you enjoyed the challenge of solving those puzzles. And if you like it, keep doing it. As JC said, just keep doing it. Okay. Well, thank you very much, JC. Thanks for sharing a bit of yourself and what you do. I'm really proud of my son because basically he's really the only one who's totally followed in my footsteps to become a programmer. And it's been fun seeing him doing that profession, and I could be equally proud of any of you that decide to take this on as a career path for yourself. So thank you very much for listening. As I said, JC will be joining the panel right after this, so you can ask him questions then. In the meantime, thank you for your attention and have a nice day. Goodbye.
All right, a father and son programmers. Thank you very much, Mr. Joey and JC Garango, for that very interesting talk. All right. And thank you also for answering some of the questions in our chat box. All right. To manage the time, so our speakers will try their best to answer your questions by replying to the chat box. But kung di man nila masagot, JC is also part of the panel discussion later, so he can address some of the questions sa discussion. All right. Okay, so as mentioned, like yesterday, we want this seminar to be interactive and engaging. So please do share your questions to our speakers about their presentations, their talks, your thoughts, and even messages of support to them. Please go ahead, send them in. So even shout outs or greetings to your colleagues, teachers, professors, go ahead. I-greet namin sila for you guys. So also, we'd love to see your posts on social media, especially sa Twitter. So kung magpo-post man kayo, please use the hashtag Y4IT 2021. All right, guys. So napansin ko ngayong pandemic, no, mas nauso ngayon ang video games. Tama ba? Sino ba dito ang mga naglalaro ngayon ng online games or video games? Ayan. Alright. Ayan si John, si Jewel Jade, si Irina, si Paul, hi, June Matino, Kyle Fernando, Jamil, si Janine, naglalaro sila. Ayan, si Rick. Hello, Jobert. Naglalaro din si Jobert Laberte, Joshua Lakap. Ayan, ang dami talagang gamers dito sa atin. So, for sure, I'm so sure marami naglalaro dito ng Mobile Legends. Sino familiar sa Mobile Legends? Wild Rift, Call of Duty, League of Legends, Dota 2, and Valorant. At saka marami pang iba, right? Okay, sige. Gusto ko makita sino dito ang naglalaro ng Mobile Legends. Magbigay naman kayo ng smiling emoji. Yes, Genshin Impact. Yeah, naglalaro yung brother ko nun. Si Russell, si Jexter, si Joy, si Mary. They're all playing Mobile Legends. Alright, okay. How about naman ng mga naglalaro ng Wild Rift? Bigay naman kayo ng thumbs up dyan. Wild Rift. Si Sean, si Paul, Angelica, John, si Angelo, si Nars. Hi, Jerome. Nag-stop na raw siya mag-play. Si John Daniel. Okay, you're all playing Wild Rift. Okay. How about yung COD, Call of Duty? Sino naglalaro ng Call of Duty? Ayan si Vincent, si John Gray, si Orange Vince, si John. Okay, send kayo ng heart react for COD. Heart react si Justin, si Paul, si Patrick, si Joshua. Hello, yan, naglalaro ng COD. Alright, and lastly, mag-share naman kayo ng inyong, not lastly, second to the last. How about Dota? Sino mga naglalaro ng Dota? Winking smile naman sa mga naglalaro ng Dota. Si Ace, si Herman, si Junirex. Okay, wow, you love Dota. Okay, Dino, Case, alright. Last na game natin ay Valorant. Sinong familiar at naglalaro sa Valorant? Pahingi naman ng laugh react. Ayun, si Paul, si Joshua, si Peter, hi Eden, Rafi, Christine, naglalaro ng Valorant. Okay. All right, so yes, Adrian, Valorant number 1. All right, number one, ang Valorant. All right, okay. So, you might be wondering bakit ako nagtatanong about the games, no? Online games na nilalaro ngayon, because our next speaker is the chairman of the Game Developers Association of the Philippines. Let's all welcome none other than Mr. Alvin Huban.
Hi guys. Good morning. Monique, is my audio coming in okay?
Yes, I
All
can hear
right.
you clearly.
Okay, unmute myself. All right. Good morning. Thank you for having me sa Y4IT. Medyo mahirap lang yung status ko ngayon dahil ang sinusundan ko speaker is the great Joey Gorango. Joey, I miss you. I hope to see you face to face very soon. That's the ultimate idol. Ika nga, dalawa lang naging boss niyan. Pareho pang legendary sa mundo. So, well, me, I'm a service guy, and in the video game industry in the Philippines, I've been serving the association for over 10 years. Over 10 years. The 10 years I served the association was as president. And after 10 years, they decided they couldn't, my association friends could not kick me out, so they kicked me upwards. So now they're chairman. So I still am quite active in the industry. So let me share my screen with you as I tell you more about the video game industry in the Philippines, because that's one thing. A lot of Filipinos are surprised that there is even a video game industry in the Philippines. Usually kasi ang mainit lang. Like when pagtanong ni Monique kanina, Mobile Legends, Valorant, COD, lahat yan. Yan naman na alam ng mga karamihan ng tao. Yung mga games na nilalaro sa Pilipinas talaga. Pero lahat ng minention ni Monique kanina, lahat yon wala akong kinalaman doon. Ibig sabihin, I was never part of their production team. So I'll share with you a bit of my experience, and then hopefully I can share with you some tips, some tricks, just in case you want to engage and challenge yourself to be part of the growing video game industry of the Philippines. So give me a minute. So first, I'm going to show you a YouTube clip of what I mostly do during the day. Here we go. So proudly, I share that clip because it was part of a game that we just finished around almost 2 years ago, called Gears of War 5. And that scene, or that map that you just saw, the amazing thing about it is Filipinos made it. In a console game or a AAA game, it takes hundreds of people, to do a project. And that's why I like using that scene and that map. Kachamba Chamba, it was my team from the Philippines who was assigned to do that entire map. So I hope that gives you an idea on the global class level of quality of our talent in video games. It's hard to show the engineering expertise, but it's easier to show the art expertise of the Philippines coming from my eyes. And so next. All right. So to tell you about our video game industry and myself, so I do work for a studio. The studio I work for is called Synergy 88. Medyo bata pa ang Synergy 88. It's 6 years old. So this is only the second studio I've been working for. And now for Synergy, my role is studio director. And most of what I do under Synergy 88 is very, very art heavy. It's very, very art heavy. It's mostly about 3D, the 3D arts. And if you've noticed during this pandemic, during this lockdown, ang swerteng negosyo talaga is everything that was digital. It's everything that was online that actually had growth. And the amazing thing about video games, since the entire world was trapped in their houses for over a year, can you believe that the video game industry garnered 3 years worth of new consumers, of new users? So actually now, the biggest games in the world of last year just got bigger. So since the games are getting bigger, there's more funding. Can you imagine that? During the pandemic, more funding was received for newer projects, the next sequel of a project, because video games actually flourished. It wasn't struggling during the pandemic, which is good for people like us. That's why, I was very excited when they asked me to talk. So Y4IT, because you guys are students and you're now trying to chart your path in life. And we just proven, the guys doing online work in the digital sphere, that we are pretty much pandemic proof. Just for that, just for that, maybe you should really take a serious look at your options. We don't know what the future will hold in terms of health and health insecurity. So again, I hope you take a lot of time and take it seriously about listening to the experiences of the speakers of your event, and jot down the tips and tricks. You might like some. So on my part, I've been able to be part of a few AAA games. Way back when, over a decade ago, I was doing games for PlayStation. I was part of a team that did some work for Uncharted 3 and the famous Last of Us as well. My name is there. Most of you, siguro, at your age range, what you experienced or what you hear about nowadays is the sequel, The Last of Us 2. So I was part of the first one. And then another globally winning game was Witcher 3. So we had a small part of that as well. And the very, very famous Cyberpunk, our team had a part in that as well. But we really made our mark for Synergy. We really made our mark when we hit the deal with Microsoft, with Xbox. And we started off with Gears of War 4. And eventually, as the years rolled by, we were we already became the major team for Gears 5 and its additional game, additional DLC called Hivebusters. So yeah, imagine in a decade, I've been able to be part of these global projects. And what we proved is it doesn't matter where you are from. Global talent is global talent, as long as you do some things well. So this picture, it's actually a snapshot I took of a conference in 2018. It's one of the biggest video game conferences. And why I'm sharing it with you, this was a slide used by one of the employees of our client. And he goes, well, our teams are scattered around the world. And it was projected on screen. And it was, all these countries had these yellow dots. Those were where the teams were. There were engineering teams, QA teams all around the world. And I just became so happy because when that yellow dot fell on the Philippines, I could stand up and claim, that's my yellow dot. We are the first Microsoft certified provider of art in the Philippines. And till this day, I'm so tickled and proud that we did that because look, we're part of the Microsoft map. But even if we do AAA, Synergy 88 is part of a conglomerate of companies. We even do games locally. And some of you might have heard, and this will be a surprise to a lot of people, that it was actually us who were behind this little chain of games for Will to Play. So as everyone knows, Willie is one of the most famous TV personalities we have. He has a daily show. And it gratifies a lot of his users with gifts almost on a daily basis. So our solution was to enable his fans and followers to keep on playing games even after the TV show. through a mobile platform. We do have a lot of users right now, and it's still rising. And as an IT person, I'd like to share with you how a simple strategy to how we did this. Now, take it to heart if you're in IT and you're going to develop applications or programs. That is very, very important to learn how to discern the approach. How to investigate and come up with practical solutions when given a task. Now, this one is supposed to be played by Filipinos in the Philippines. And the Philippines, one thing that we know about the Philippines is our infrastructure is very challenged. Our internet is not the best. And again, most phones in the mass market are on the lower end, limited yung storage nila, and it's prepaid. So very, very limited yung mga capacities nila. So we had to design this platform because it had to be usable for the fans of Willie, which is the fans of Willie are 10 million, 10 million. So when we were designing it, I had to push and say that, whatever we do, the end product should hover around only 50 megabytes, because that, I believe, is the most palatable or more acceptable file size when you're actually pushing games to the Filipinos. And these are very casual games. We're not talking about Mobile Legends or anything like that. Because Mobile Legends, that's really for mga esports aficionados. But this one is for the casual players. There are much more casual players than anyone else, in games right now. So talaga, this should be suited to the average phone in the Philippines. And surprisingly, okay, when we put it out there a couple of months ago, it already had 5 games inside. Once you download it, a single download, and you open the Will to Play application, there are already 5 games inside. What's wonderful about that is, even though it had 5 games, it's still megabytes. All right, so it comes with it. It comes with it. Hopefully, you'll learn about that as time goes by. In video games, we're kind of different. We're kind of the oddball in technology. Some people call us weird. Sige, tanggapin namin yon. Because the way we use technology is basically for entertainment. So we pretty much, in our team, we pretty much need people who are either left brain or right brain. So here, this is something I just snatched out of the internet. When you say left brain, you are the most logical. You plan things out in great detail. Hopefully, you are very math and science minded. And for the right brain, here's where the art people come from. They're really focused on creating things from scratch. Their imagination soars, and they invent things. They prefer storytelling. So you need these 2 main sections when you're doing a video game, whether it's AAA, whether it's mobile, whether it's PC. These are what you do. So even though that this is Y4IT, I do expect that if we were to be in one room altogether, I would ask you guys, are you left brain or you right brain? I'm pretty sure we'd probably have an even division in the room. Usually that is the case. Again, even under an IT umbrella, there are some people who really feel creative. They'll be more prone to the arts, and then some will probably more prone into the engineering or the development side of things in video games. And there's really no secret. We don't write books. We're not very academic, but through our experience, these are the very, very general steps that we want to share with you if you want to embark on a career in video games. Again, this is very different. Parents usually don't like their children entering video games because there's a veil of mystery behind it. People think that all we do every day is play. They don't understand that what we do is actually real work, and it's all about development. Really, it's a hard job. It's a hard job, and it's quite challenging. And actually, we don't need a whole lot of people. We don't need a whole lot of people. We just need a special few. And maybe that's you. So if that's you, listen up. Now, if you did embark on that career and you had for example, you took a game course, because we do have, for the last 10 years, we've had a game design and development course in the Philippines. And so when you go to the workforce, first tip is get exposed to a lot of different projects. Make sure after one project is done, try to be part of another team that's doing another task, especially if you're an engineer. Maybe you start off being with a front-end developer, maybe try back-end as well. Do that. Do the first year, try and get as many projects as you can. Next, again, work in different teams. There's a lot of things. It's a lot of things that has to be developed when you're doing video games. It's not just straight coding. There's a lot of things you have to consider, because we use things like physics or math. How to use all that in a game scenario is pretty fascinating, and it takes a lot of getting used to. So exposing yourself into different teams will give you, a lot of that exercise, kind of brain exercise that you need to actually finish and make a game fun. Next, sing and shout. Now, I just try to make light of this because there's a tendency of a lot of Filipinos not to say anything, not to react when they see something wrong. Now, even though you're a first-year developer and you see something wrong in the production, don't be afraid to bring it up to your team lead, because it might just be a mistake. So it's very, very important that you don't just keep your head down and just do your work. Hindi ganun eh. Imagine that you are part of the team. If you see something wrong, some formula, some code, which is looking like spaghetti at this point, please sing and shout about it to your team members, to your team lead. This is very, very important. And, this will surprise you when you work with foreign teams. It's like that. There's a lot of chatter when they're developing. It's not actually quiet. It's part of the creative process, even in engineering. And the next one is absolutely funny. Get lazy. Lazy in a sense that when you're programming, for games, you're going to find a lot of repetitive actions, a lot of loops, and your job as a growing developer is to cut most of that out, is to actually eliminate a lot of the garbage that it takes to produce a single action. Okay, that's why we say get lazy. Take out much of the spaghetti in the garbage that's in the way when you're making a game. And usually it's only the more experienced people who can do this. All right, so get lazy. Now, once you've gotten this sort of experience and expertise, the next challenge we have for you, at this point, maybe you've spent 1 year, 1.5 years, maybe 2 years developing games. And on the next stage, you'll have to lead. You'll have to lead a small team. This is what we push you for. When you're leading, a lot of new things will come out. You'll find yourself that you're pushed to communicate even better and farther than you've ever been. You're going to be forced to do that. The responsibility, the mantle of responsibility that falls to you when you're leading a team, it's real. And it will grow you up. It won't kill you. Don't worry. It won't kill you. It will make you stronger. And then when you're used to training, training other people, new employees or old employees that join your team, and you need to share the learnings that you got from 2 projects ago, then you can train them to be lazy as well. You need to grow up your team members to be as good as you, maybe even better than you. Don't worry, you won't lose your job. You'll only get a stronger and stronger team. And studio bosses will see that. That makes you indispensable. And then also understand that in development, there's always continuous learning. It doesn't matter if you're an engineer or a 3D artist or a 2D artist. Keep it in your head that you're never truly a master. Technologies change, games change, and you have to continue your learning. You have to be thirsty for everything that's new, that's coming up, and the future holds for video game entertainment. You have to be abreast on the latest change in technology. So accept that. Take new lessons, experiment with new software, do new codes, look at up and coming game engines, look at the works of other experts around the country, around the world, even. All right. And then once you're up there, maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe even 6 years down the line, and you become a senior developer. By this time, we hope that you've become a master of communication and storytelling. A master of communication, storytelling. These are the architects of development, that they could actually design and digest what the client needs for a game. And at this point, as a master communicator, you would be able to empathize and believe with your client, that this game will rock, that this game will be entertaining, that this game will rake in the awards and the profit. And then you have to get that storytelling talent and share it down the line with your team members, whether it's in the Philippines or around the world. Sadly, not a lot of people are talented in doing this. Usually it's the more senior people who can do this. But aim for this: a master of communication, a master in storytelling. But before we get here, we have to actually jump back. We forgot there are prerequisites before you go into the game development business. The prerequisites are, if you're a developer, if you want to be a developer, you got to be good in physics, math, these things. You're not just coding. You have to add these things on your weaponry. If you're on the art side, you have to learn about things like anatomy, architecture, mechanics, because you'll be building worlds with us. You'll be building the most fabulous buildings, the weirdest crafts, vehicles, costumes, weapons, name it. So your mind has to be really open to these things. Again, for developers, another tip: do not be a slave to the engine. Now, in developing video games, we have free software out there, free engines, but do not be a slave to them. Nowadays, people can actually create simple games by simply dragging and dropping. And unfortunately, some kids graduate college thinking that the ability to drag and drop credits them to become and be called a developer. No, you're not. Sadly, you're not. Doing the templates and the drag and drops, that's really mostly for the amateurs. If you want to join the industry, you have to go to the next one. You have to meet your brain and learn how to code. You gotta do it. You learn how to code. And for game development, my biggest suggestion is to learn the C's. C++, the oldest languages out there, the most basic. But once you learn C, it unlocks your brain, and it will make you capable of using most other software out there in the universe. You just need that training in your head through learning C++, and you can appreciate the others. Okay, there's a question here. Yeah, so there's two popular engines in the world right now. Unity. Definitely Unity is being used by 64% of developers around the world. And the others, especially in AAA, what I do for Xbox or PlayStation, some of us use Unreal. Okay, so for Unreal uses C++, and Unity uses C#. So that's why I remind you that if you need to learn these things, C++ or C#. Very, very important. Please don't even apply if you don't know it. You're wasting your time and you're wasting hours as well. Another tip: master one, learn three. Now, once you master C++, maybe you have to learn three others. Maybe you have to learn three others that you need to build a database. You need to learn more about the backend, how you're going to store all that information when you're playing a game. So keep that, as I said, you got to keep on learning, keep on chugging along. Master one, learn three. While you're a student, enjoy your capstone. Make something real. Actually pick good members to be part of your team. Take it seriously, your capstone. Believe me, if you do your capstone well, you can bring that experience with you throughout your career. A lot of people I know around the world, I'm in late age already. There's always reference to what they did during their thesis or capstone. Very, very important. If you do the game engine, a math engine when you're in college, that will bring you places. Believe me, it will bring you places. The next, take your internship seriously. Please, for me, it's like winning a job. So, come on time and produce, and it's different. Internship is not, it's not like school anymore. It's really, we're going to treat you as if it was real work. So take that seriously as well. If we tell you that your internship takes 6 months, take it. We have reasons for that. Next, if you want to be a true game developer, join the game jams. Every year there are game jams in the Philippines, and this is a global thing. Please join. The social interaction will do you good. You got to meet other people. That's required. You have to learn how to work in a team. And there will be other jams within the year. Please join them. It will teach you how to compete. And if you cannot compete, you cannot make great games. It's all about games at this point. So jam on. Next, last, if you are taking a game course, is polish your portfolio. Whether you're engineering, you're an artist, make sure you have a very, very strong portfolio, because that's your biggest weapon in landing a good internship or a good job. Okay, so that's it. That's pretty much it. Those are the best tips, I guess, that we could share with you. So enjoy. So definitely, I hope I have amused you for the last 20 minutes or lumagpas na ako. But if there's anything else, you can always reach me on Facebook or to these kind people in Y4IT. Maraming salamat. Monique, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Alvin Huban. Thank you so much. Yeah, our speaker was able to answer most of the questions there in the chat box. So thank you very much. See you later in the panel discussion. All right, so coming next, our next speaker was a software engineer and technical lead manager for more than 8 years at Google Mountain View. Leaving the company just this May of 2021, she is now pursuing her own software projects in e-commerce. Prior to her time at Google, she also worked as a software engineer at Northrop Grumman, a multinational aerospace and defense company at NASA JPL in Pasadena, and at a few startups that all exited successfully. Here to talk about working at Big Tech, Ms. Charmaine Liu.
Hi there. Let me share my screen. Okay. Sorry, I'm confused. Let me just share my screen. Okay, I think I just did that. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, let me make sure. Okay, great. Thank you, Monique, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Magandang gabi po sa akin dito sa California. It is my pleasure to be here today with all of you to share my experiences of what it is like to work at one of the big software companies. But before I go there, I'd like to share with you a story that reminded me of when I first thought about working at a software company. It was the summer of high school graduation, a friend and I were chatting while walking up Session Road in Baguio City. In that conversation, I thought to ask, after finishing school and starting work and all of that, what is your ultimate career dream? You know, what would you hope to accomplish after all that schooling? She told me what she hoped to do, and it was a pretty big dream. I was actually blown away. Then she turned to me and asked me the same question. And I said, I wanted to work for Microsoft. This was in 1997. The internet was just starting, and Google did not even exist. Working for Microsoft was not something that felt achievable to me when I said that. I just remembered reading the story of how Bill Gates started Microsoft and is one of the biggest software companies in the world. At that time, it felt more of a lofty goal. And since she and I were talking about big dreams, so why not? I had no clue where to start or how to get there, but I kept the idea nonetheless. So the takeaway I'd like you to have from the story is that it's okay to dream big. Even when you don't quite know how to get there, let that be your North Star as you progress in your career. So a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Baguio City. After high school, I moved to California, and I now reside in the Bay Area with my husband and kids. I completed my primary and secondary schooling in the Philippines. The summer after high school graduation, I immigrated to the US to join my family, who moved to California a few years earlier. I completed my bachelor's in computer science and engineering at UCLA. And while working full-time, I pursued and completed my master's in computer science at USC. Here's a snapshot of my career. At my last year at UCLA, I worked as an academic part-time at NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory. After college, I worked as a software engineer at Northrop Grumman. And then after that, I was interested in startups. So I worked at a few of them for about 45 years. And then in 2012, I interviewed at Google and ultimately joined the company in that same year. In May of 2021, I turned in my resignation in order to pursue one of my longtime interests of starting my own software company. Together with 3 other people, I am now building an online service in the e-commerce space. So now that you know a little bit about me and my background, I'll continue on to the main topic of what it's like to work at a big company, a big tech company. So I was at Google for about 8.5 years and worked on 3 different products. That's Google My Business, Shopping, and Photos. So I came in as a software engineer at the Google My Business product. I was basically a full stack engineer there, even though I was hired into the team as an iOS engineer. I had strong interest in learning the server side of things. And so I also started creating and implementing the front-end APIs that the mobile app was talking to. I learned to deploy my code on the Google infrastructure, which means I had to understand the deployment configuration and infrastructure, integrate the server monitoring systems, and many other things. That's one of the things that Google generally looks for in a candidate, is the ability to adapt and quickly get up to speed with any technology a project uses or needs. Google Shopping was the second product I worked on, where I was also primarily working on the iOS app, but also implementing the server API changes. This was also the time where I went on leave for 8 months with my first child, then went and got promoted within 4 months of coming back from leave. Going for my first promotion was a positive experience for me as a woman and a first-time mother at Google, because my career progression was not impacted despite taking a long time off to have a child. So the last and longest project I worked on was Google Photos. I was there for almost 6 years. Again, I was hired in as an iOS engineer, got promoted and became a technical lead manager, having up to 7 engineers reporting to me. After 4 years in Photos, I moved to the machine intelligence team, where I developed one of the memories features seen on top of the Google Photos app. From my experience in the products I was involved in, I was able to have as much responsibility as I want, and within reason, have opportunities to explore and be involved in the things that are interesting to me. Moving to the machine intelligence team is an example of that. I had a strong interest in learning more about AI and machine learning that I was able to move to a team in photos that allowed me to do that. I also mentioned earlier about promotion at Google, and in the engineering ladder, getting promoted is not something that your manager decides alone. It is something that is applied for. It requires peers and managers to write feedback of support. Data showing that you already operate in that next level for at least 6 months. Then a committee would review the evidences and make a decision. Applying for a promotion can be hard and can be a source of stress for most, but once you get it, it's worth it. So I'm going to take a break from the career stuff and talk a little bit about the other fun perks of working at Google. I can only mention a few of them because there are just really too many to mention. So the campuses have many restaurants where the employees have a pick of the type of food they want to eat. And I'm referring to choices such as whether to have an omelet for breakfast, or sushi for lunch, or Korean barbecue for dinner. Then in the afternoon, choose whether to have a matcha latte or a non-fat sugar-free vanilla latte for your drink. There are also many amenities on site, such as gyms, swimming pools, tennis courts, and many more. This makes it very convenient to take on sports or hobbies. I, in particular, had taken tennis classes in the middle of my day that are offered on site. I had also learned how to cook by taking an 8-week cooking program offered for free by the kitchen staff at one of the Google cafes. The other non-tangible perks of working there is that you also get to work with really smart people on large-scale problems. Most have advanced degrees or come from the top universities in the world. The other perk I also really like is the community. There are so many internal groups on different topics, such as parenting, being a new mom, being a woman engineer, or just connecting with other Filipinos at Google. You can develop friendships through there, and you can also tap into the knowledge of the community, which are generally helpful. So continuing on to the career stuff, one of the roles I had at Google is an iOS tech lead. At a high level, these 4 things are mostly my responsibilities. The main thing I notice about managing that is different compared to other companies is that the relationship between the manager and report is generally collaborative. As a manager, I wouldn't just tell my reports what to work on. I would also seek their input on what projects they want to work on. It is also generally frowned upon at my org for managers to be micromanaging or telling the reports what and how to do their projects in detail. In addition, coaching a report to grow professionally is also considered part of the manager's role. As a software engineer, the diagram here is generally the life cycle of a project. I would start with a design doc that describes the problem I am tackling and discuss in detail the different solutions to the problem. I would share this document with other engineers and stakeholders for feedback and comments. Typically, there is also a design review meeting attended by senior engineers and domain experts. In that meeting, I would be presenting my solutions, and people would ask questions and point out things to make sure all cases have been considered. This generally helps uncover issues and vet the solution works well before starting the actual implementation. This helps avoid wasting weeks or months going down an incorrect route. Implementation is the next one. This is the part where you actually start coding, and the code is broken down in chunks sent for code review. As part of that, unit tests are also required before sending the code out for review. These unit tests are automatically run for any commits that touches that part of the code in order to catch regressions. The next part is going through the cycle of QA testing, where a QA person would manually test the features and file bug reports. In this part, you'd also write a test document for the different test cases that the QA team would go through. And when the feature is ready, the last step is a gradual rollout. What this means is that the feature is enabled for a small subset of users. I would typically start with 1% of the user base. In the case of photos that has at least 1 billion users, that means enabling the feature for 10 million accounts. These are chosen at random. I would then go through the cycle of checking the metrics, analyzing the server logs for any issues, and checking out the server graphs for the system health. If everything looks good, then I'd roll it out some more, monitor the servers, and logs again before rolling out to more users. This is generally one of the reasons why when Google publicly releases a feature, it takes some time for everyone to be able to access it. Also, as part of launch planning, there are contingency plans in place and steps of how to roll it back in case there are issues. There are also typically on-call folks that the system automatically notifies for unexpected server behaviors. And then the cycle repeats for a new project. So an example of a project I worked on in Google Photos is this memory located at the top of the app. This project was about grouping your photos based on a particular topic and generating a memory for it. For instance, being in a beach or in the playground, or in the case of this example, grouping all the photos related to being in the woods. This feature is quite involved because what it is that it basically tries to find all your photos, analyze each of them, and determine what the topic is of that photo. The first part about the work involved here is the AI component around it. It tries to figure out signals from the photos that would indicate the high likelihood of it being about the woods. The signals should be smart enough to avoid false positives, such as including photos that just happen to have trees or many plants around it. Second, you would also want to exclude photos that are not visually pleasing. For instance, if they are blurry or the person in the photo is cut off. These photos, you would also want to exclude them. Another part to this is writing an algorithm that is efficient and fast, because the algorithm is analyzing each photo in an account to figure out which ones to include in the memory. So in my account, I probably have more than 10,000 photos. And you can just imagine that if there are thousands of photos in an account, multiply that with the 1 billion users that Google Photos have. That's a lot of processing time needed to be able to do this. And so you wouldn't want to take months before your feature becomes available to all your users. Hence, it becomes absolutely necessary that your code is efficient and optimal to support the user base of the product. Okay, I think I only have 3 minutes. I'll try to go through this last part quickly. So now that I've given you an idea of what it is like to work at Google and the types of project you can work on, the last topic I want to talk about is the interview process for software engineering. Most companies do the same thing. The technical interview tends to be very algorithmic and tests on computer science fundamentals. So the picture at the top tends to be what the phone interview screening looks like. Basically, the interviewer, you'll be talking on the phone with the interviewer, and there's like a shared document for you to type in your answer. They do expect you to come up with a solution, a working solution to the problem in that interview. And then the one at the bottom, the one with the whiteboard, that is what the on-site interview would look like, where basically there's an interviewer on the desk, and then you'll be drawing on the whiteboard the solution to the question. I'll skip through some of these of what I was about to say, but one thing I want to point out here is that I added some resources here for anyone who would like to, when you need to prepare for an interview, a technical interview. The book, one is a book and one is an on-site platform, a website, so the book is Cracking the Coding Interview book. There's about 189 programming questions there. And then the website is like just many different problems that you can practice on. So we're at the end of my talk. I hope that my presentation and the stories of my experience working at Google had been enjoyable and informative. I am very grateful to be here. And thank you, everybody. If you have any questions or follow-up, if you'd like to reach me after this talk, feel free to email me at the email address that I have on the slide. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Charmaine Lu. All right, so later, Ms. Charmaine Lu is part of our panel discussion. So any questions related to her discussions will be answered there. All right. Okay, so before we head on over to our break, we would also like to thank our sponsors for making Y4IT 2021 happening. All right, so thank you to ASUS, Paymaya, Smart PLDT, Oracle, Linux Professional Institute, Palo Alto Networks, Microgenesis Business Systems, Archer M Security, Empire Locks, Felta Multimedia Inc., Panadera de Pantoja, and Teleperformance. We also like to mention that we are looking for info system developers and web app developers. So if you would like to start your career in these positions, please send your CVs to Janine Gatchalian at jfgatchalian@up.edu.ph. Again, that's jfgatchalian@up.edu.ph. For more info, please see the details on what's shown on the screen right now. All right, so for our students naman, here is how to request for your Y4IT 2021 e-certificates. All right, so please use the bit.ly link shown on your screens. An e-certificate will be provided for a fee of 100 pesos per session attended, and a total of 600 pesos if you will join all six sessions. The e-certificate will be sent via email as soon as we have verified your participation, and an e-copy of your payment receipt uploaded via request form. You can also opt to make a one-time payment via these available payments. All right, so we have GCash, Paymaya, Landbank, and BPI. Payment instructions are available via the request form also, so check it out. So lastly, if you have any questions about our speakers, about the discussions, about the copy of the presentations, please email us at info.y4it@upsitf.org. And last but not the least, keep your eyes peeled as we'll be giving out the instructions on how to join our raffle later. Yes, may raffle tayo, kaya please stay tuned, all right? You may win amazing prizes by of course, our amazing sponsors. So yes, now we will be right back after this 20-minute break. So please be back after 20 minutes. See you again later.
Bilang alumni nitong school na to, gusto kong makatulong sa mga bata na matuto when it comes to technology, lalo na sa panahon ngayon. Napansin ko na napag-iiwanan na tong paaralan na to na pinanggalingan ko.
People here are very thankful. They really appreciate the blessing that came to them this afternoon. It's a way for our kababayans here, the small children here, to catch up with the technology gap.
Ilalagay po natin ang laptop na ito po sa computer lab at ito po ay gagamitin ng mga mag-aaral natin na 199 na mga bata para po sila ay mas lalong maging bihasa sa paggamit po ng mga computers.
Gusto kong magpasalamat sa ASUS Philippines at saka sa ASUS Foundation sa napakalaking tulong na binigay nila sa Lamo Elementary School.
Naniniwala po ako na sa pamamagitan ng mga donations na ito na ibinigay po ng ASUS Philippines ay ma-addressan po natin ang kakulangan ng kaalaman ng ating mga bata ng paggamit ng computers para po sila ay maging globally competitive in the future. I trust ASUS.
I trust ASUS.
Want an e-wallet with free cash in? Try PayMaya and enjoy so much more. PayMaya, too good to be number 2. Pag sinabing e-wallet, ano ang naiisip mo? Dapat PayMaya, cause we have real-time transaction history and so much more. PayMaya, too good to be number 2. Pag sinabing e-wallet, ano ang naiisip mo? Dapat PayMaya, cause we have over 1,500 billers and load items and so much more. PayMaya, too good to be number 2. Pag sinabing e-wallet, ano ang naiisip mo? Dapat PayMaya, cause we have 99.9% uptime and so much more. PayMaya, too good to be number 2.
As Oracle's global philanthropic educational program, Oracle Academy advances computing education around the world to increase knowledge, innovation, skills development, and diversity in technology fields. The program engages with thousands of educational institutions and educators in more than 120 countries, helping millions of students become college and career ready.
Algebra University College is the biggest private higher educational organization.
Hello. Welcome back, everyone. Nakabalik na po ba lahat ng ating participants? Alright, so before we go to our next speaker, again, greetings muna tayo. A few greetings from our participants. Ayan, shout out from, mabilis lang ang ating dami na nag-shout out. Hello po from ACTS Capamilia. Cholo from TI. From Apalit, Pampanga, Verdad, Christian, Pampanga. Alright, St. Anne College, Lucena. Hello everyone. Good morning from PUP Campus, Laguna. Shoutout po sa amin ni Peter Paul Factor from BS1I S1 La Verdad Christian College, Apalit, Pampanga. Pa-shoutout po sa taga Camarines Norte State College. Hello, hello everyone! Alright, okay. So later, mag-greet pa tayo. Please send in your greetings and yung mga teachers, profs, friends, sa classmates nyo. Go ahead. All right. Okay. So now we'll go to our next speaker. Okay. We'd like to introduce the Director of Mobile Engineer for Plentina. He specializes in Android development and has been making Android apps since 2016 and is also a Google developer for Kotlin. Let us all welcome Mr. Kurt Acosta.
Okay. There you go. Yeah, let me just share my screen for a bit. There we go. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. First off, thanks, Y4IT for inviting me here. Yeah, I'm excited to like talk about this, and I've been just like thinking about like what to talk about. Like I've been invited to like talk about mobile engineering, but I kind of don't want to bore people in mobile engineering, so I changed mine to like just talk about my career as a mobile engineer. So yeah, I hope I don't make you fall asleep in 20 minutes. So yeah, so yeah, hi everyone. My name is Kurt, and yeah, I'm currently the director of mobile engineering at Plentina. So I handle everything related to mobile app development, and I'm also a Google developer expert for Kotlin. So if you don't know about Kotlin, it's a programming language, and it's a really good language. So if you don't know it, please do check it out. So yeah, yeah, I'll just be talking about like I guess like what happened in my career, and like I guess since this is like for youth, maybe it would give some help to know how I got from like when I started to getting here. So yeah, I hope after this session like you would still get something and maybe get a few insights on like how you could maybe shape your career. So okay, so yeah, so I guess this is just like maybe some of the I guess pivotal points in my career. So yeah, let's start. So I started programming actually in 2012, and it was actually a part of our curriculum in our high school. And yeah, at that time I was just really interested in computers. I was really addicted to gaming, so I dabbled on computers a lot, and I liked math. I liked physics, and I just like solving a lot of problems. And like when we got introduced to programming, it felt really natural, and it's just like me like translating like the logical things that's happening in my head to something that the computer can understand, and like I really enjoyed it. So yeah, and there was this instance where there was a kind of like inter-school competition between like computer literacy. So yeah, they were doing a roll call like who wanted to like get in, and I thought to myself that yeah, I think I like computers, I think I can do it. So yeah, I joined. And yeah, basically it's a programming competition, and yeah, it's one of the things that that led me here, because like in that competition yeah, I kind of won. Like you can see, that's me like very young, and yeah, I won in like the regional level and like in the national level. So okay, like that made me like make a big decision. So at that time I was choosing between like psychology, physics, and then like IT. So okay, since this particular thing happened, then okay, I made that decision. So okay, I'm going to take up IT. So yeah, now I'm like now I went down that path, right? So yeah, and I studied IT. I studied about computers, like programming, like how to like make systems and things like that. So yeah, but like one more thing that happened here is that I got introduced to people, and yeah, what led me to like be an Android engineer. So in college, like you would be exposed to like different techniques, or like I guess frameworks, stacks, etc. And we were working on like how to make APIs, how to make like web stuff, how to make like desktop apps, database management, things like those. But yeah, like I didn't actually become like a mobile engineer because like the school thought it was. So it's actually because like I joined this community, which is like our Google developer group in Baguio, which is where I'm from. And yeah, the community manager there, his name is Raymart. actually asked me to facilitate. So at that time, we were volunteering and like organizing those events. So we helped in like scheduling, getting the venues and things like those. But yeah, at one point he asked me to be a facilitator, and like he said like, hey Kurt, like can you like facilitate like this Android workshop? Um, and I'm like, I don't know a thing about Android, but like he told me that yeah, you can do that, like kaya mo yan, or something like that. And like I'm like, okay, like the naive me said like, okay, sige, I think I can make this. So yeah, at the time I didn't know anything about Android. Like I literally didn't know anything. So yeah, so he made me facilitate. I don't know what to do, but yeah, so this is me like trying to facilitate those. So what happened here was like there were like Udacity videos, and like what you actually have to do is like, you know, try to get people into it, and um you just go through them and like help them like learn about Android. So it's called Android Study Jams. So yeah, like I didn't know how to do Android. So what I did was like every week, like this is a 6 week workshop, so every week I would you know, watch the video and like try to understand, like watch it repeatedly, and like, okay, this is how you do UI, okay, this is how you do REST APIs, this is how you create your databases, this is how you test. And like I was just learning everything on the go. And you know, like it was just this task that I took up on. And yeah, I was learning as I go. I was kind of like faking it till I make it. And yeah, after that workshop, I learned to like love Android. And like uh I was a facilitator, and like I come out as like one of the people who like learned about Android. And you know, I don't know, it was just really I guess like serendipitous like for me. But yeah, like, you know, I'm not even gunning for it, but now I'm an Android engineer, and like, you know, that's where it all started. So yeah, you know, just taking up on that opportunity like that, I didn't even know that would lead me here. But yeah, I learned it. And yeah, ever since, like I found like Android to be somewhere where I'm comfortable, and something that I'm really happy to be working with. So yeah, that's where it all started. So after that, I got more comfortable with it. I started doing more community talks regarding Android, how to build your mobile apps, things like that. So yeah, that was still me in college. I think that was like third year or so. So yeah, a few years passed, and yeah, I graduated. So yeah, I landed my first job. So I went to Storm Technology. So I graduated around May 2017, was that it? And yeah, like I immediately looked for a job. Like I got bored, so yeah, I was just looking for a job, and I wanted some stuff to do. Um, I didn't want to waste my time. And yeah, you know, I got here. It's actually quite good because like it was actually from like my network in the Google Developer Group community. So yeah, the head of like the person managing like the Google Developer Relations at that time knew someone and like referred me there. And like, yeah, I think I want an Android engineer role over there. So yeah, naturally I just took up on it. Like I tried to apply with them, and you know, I got the job. So this is my first ever job, and I was lucky, and like really yeah, you know, it's a privilege to like get the job you want right off the bat. So yeah, here there's a lot of learning. So I knew how to make Android apps. I knew how to make Android apps like from facilitating, right? But then this is where I really got into like the industry standards. So I knew how to do UI, I knew how to use this couple of things, but like how to do it in a proper way, this is where I kind of like understood everything. So yeah, I still remember my senior here, which was like Mariel, was like really still the best senior for me. She had me like kind of like a month to train me and like tell me to use all of these things. So like use this, like how to make your UI, like use retrofit, use realm room not room sorry realm, like a lot of like mobile technologies. And yeah, it like really helped that, you know, there was someone guiding me and like telling me what to do. Because like if I relied on like the resources I had online, you know, there's a lot, like you could search everything, and like you could like go into like rabbit holes that you don't have to go into. And you know, it was just nice here because like you had someone like trying to guide you and tell you, hey, this is the stuff you need to do, this is what you need. And you know, just someone equipping you and paving the path for you. And yeah, this is where I learned everything. So yeah, I was a sponge to everything here, and you know, just trying to take up everything that I needed to know that they were giving to me. So yeah, not only that, but you know, I came from a community that, you know, thrives on like people giving back to it. So yeah, I not only did I, you know, be a sponge to them, but I also did everything I can to give back. And it was at this time where Kotlin was actually announced as like a first class language for Android. So yeah, one of the first major tasks I did here was like to make our team transition from using Java to Kotlin. And yeah, as a junior, like that's kind of like a big feat because like, you're just someone who just came from the company. You're just here for like a month and now you're doing this big transition to your team. But yeah, you know what, to me, it was just like helping people to like grow. Because like, in tech, right, like everything is getting updated every now and then. Like 1 minute you're using this, the next minute you're not. So yeah, it was really good here that, I was able to learn, but also able to give. So not only did I, stick my sharing here, but I also like still, shared outside. So I was still active in like doing talks. So I learned from the community. So yeah, I kind of felt that not that I have to, but I wanted to give back to the community as well. So yeah, at least if there's someone that I would be able to at least, um, have an impact with, like that would be really good because like yeah, it's just a nice thought, you learn from it and you giving back. So yeah, fast forward here. So yeah, some things happened and like yeah, our team got yeah, some things happened. The company wasn't kind of doing well, I guess, and yeah, they kind of retrenched the mobile team. So yeah, it's bye bye mobile team. So that means I lost my job, so I have to move to another one. So I stayed there for like maybe a year and a couple of months. And yeah, I moved to my next job, which is like at Insight. So again, another network from my Google Developer Group community. Yeah, I knew this person. He had an idea, connected me to it, and yeah, we were building on this thing. And yeah, at that time, it was a promising idea. It was a project that had like a really good purpose and like solving some social issues. And like, yeah, I really wanted it, and like I learned a lot from my previous company, right? So at this time, like I was just like, ready to take on the challenge and like, okay, let's work on that stuff. And yeah, I was here for quite a while. Um, and yeah, we were just working on it. Like we were tackling that challenge, actively thinking about it, how to solve it. Um, but yeah, it was at this time where I thought, where I knew that the experience I have like isn't enough, and like I was trying to do things that I know, but like I only have like a few years of experience, and like I don't know how to build everything from the bigger picture. So yeah, I was kind of still pretty naive here, and yeah, that led to like me like thinking about a lot of stuff, like doing things that I don't have to do or I can't do. So yeah, this kind of led to me having a burnout. So yeah, this is where I had to recalibrate a lot. And yeah, I had to move to another company. But yeah, I still kept like still giving back to the community. And yeah, as I'm still doing sessions at like conferences and like doing workshops. But yeah, aside from that burnout, like there people were also like telling me to apply to become a GDE, a Google Developer Expert for Android. And I actually got denied because like people, or rather, the developer relations team said that I should be doing more technical stuff. But yeah, it's kind of hard to do that here in the Philippines because like whenever you go to these events, you would usually get like people who are new to it. So you can't just talk about like these technical stuff, which is why I also don't want to dive into technical stuff right now. So I don't because I don't want to bore people. So yeah, it was hard and like getting rejected, getting burnt out. So yeah, it led me to go and like move to another I guess lesser role, which is where I moved into White Cloak. So yeah, I found this company, and yeah, they're working on like apps. They needed an Android engineer, and I said like, okay, perfect, like I just want like an Android job, like where I feel more comfortable with and where I could, I guess, get more knowledge and enhance my skills. So yeah, this is where I landed. And yeah, in this team, like I really learned a lot. Like I enjoyed learning more about Android. So yeah, like I said earlier, I was kind of pretty naive in my previous company, right? So here I got more knowledge on like how they do things and like in the industry. So this company was managing like an app that's used by a lot of people. So I was trying to like again be a sponge and like get all those, like how do they do those, and try to adopt them in my practices. So yeah, and in this team, like this was the time when like Kotlin multi-platform, which is something that I'm really I guess advocating about. was kind of in its preview, and like I really liked it. So basically, it's a technology that would let you like share your code between Android and iOS. So there's Flutter, there's React Native, then a lot of things like that. But there's some differences in how they do things. But yeah, I got interested in Kotlin multi-platform, and yeah, one of the tasks I did here was to unify our Android and iOS team. So yeah, we're sharing our code base and still having our native applications. So yeah, I learned a lot here and like learned a lot of like best practices, and just trying to like um, still grow and like enhance my skills. So okay, yeah, I'm doing that, but I still didn't stop, and like I'm still sharing every bit that I can. So here's like a workshop in like my alma mater in Baguio, where I was teaching the faculty what's new in Android. So yeah, I was trying to get people updated. So and I was all here's also like me talking about like Kotlin multi-platform, like how it could like benefit your native applications and things like that. So yeah, yeah, I was like really happy here and like just working a lot in like my expertise in mobile developments. And yeah, like a few months later, someone again referred me to like these two guys, which is our co-founders right now, which is like Earl and Kevin. So yeah, yeah, I met them, I got referred to them, and yeah, now I'm at Plantina. So yeah, at that time it was just the two of them, and yeah, they wanted like an Android developer, and okay, they wanted an Android developer. They have another idea, so yeah, they want to develop it. So like I'm like, okay, I think this is good. Looking at like Earl and like our CEO Kevin, like I think these guys like know what they're doing, and like it's a big leap because like I came from something that's that kind of field. So now that I'm under these guys who are like really good, so yeah, I took the jump again and like moved from like a stable company to Plantina. So yeah, so now I'm here and this is our team, and like like we're growing, and like we're making and I'm currently the director of mobile engineering, so I'm managing everything related to mobile development. So yeah, I'm doing a lot here and like grew a lot, and yeah, it's really good. Like um yeah, so aside from that, I was still talking. So yeah, I also got to be like a GDE right now for Kotlin. So yeah, I still continued sharing, and like try to hit them, and like try to do the best that I can. So yeah, now we have like 100,000 downloads. I think that's our biggest milestone, at least for me and the mobile team. But yeah, I'm seeing that I'm out of time, but yeah, I just want to quickly highlight some key takeaways that that worked for me. So yeah, like one is like I guess my passion. So yeah, find what you love doing, and like just keep on doing that. Looks like it's I found mine like early on, which is like really a privilege thing. So yeah, if you can find that, try to focus on it, like try to like see where it would lead you. If not, just keep on trying things out and like find something that you could like potentially like. And yeah, like there's also like purpose. So yeah, you can't just like go with your passion. There has to be like some purpose to it, right? So maybe you have just that passion, but like that passion like kind of has a negative purpose. So like I mean like your purpose has to be like with good intentions. Like yeah, I guess for now, like it's for me it's trying to help financially, right? And yeah, there's also networks. I wouldn't like land these jobs if it wasn't for my network. So yeah, that's really important. And giving back. So like to me, I think it's something for me that I learned from someone. I want to give it back. And growth. Keep on like making yourself grow. Like tech is always changing. Like I said earlier, 1 minute you're using this, 1 minute it's not. So yeah, keep on growing, keep yourself updated. Like there's a lot of resources online that you can just do a quick search, and there's that. And yeah, opportunities, like for me, like it's more of luck. But yeah, whenever there's an opportunity, I guess you're young, right? Like this is for youth. So yeah, take on that opportunity, take where see where it would lead you. But yeah, it's not just don't take it blindly. Of course, you have to assess if you want to take it as well. But yeah, don't leave your opportunities behind. Like yeah, you'll never know where it would get you. Like yeah, now I'm an Android engineer. If I didn't take that facilitator task, I wouldn't be here. So yeah, still wanted to share more, but yeah, I knew it wouldn't fit in like a 20-minute talk. But yeah, I hope I didn't make you fall asleep. And yeah, thank you for listening to how I got here. So yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Acosta, for sharing us more about mobile engineer. Thank you so much. May we ask you to please stay for the panel session?
Of course.
Okay. Well, now I'd like to once again introduce Mr. Monchito Ibrahim, who will be moderating this morning's panel discussion, which will be focused on career development. Along with him is the author of Denim, Mr. JC Gorango, the chairman of GDAP or GDAP, Mr. Alvin Huban, and again, the director of mobile engineering of Plantina, Mr. Kurt Acosta. Herman, please take it away.
Okay, thank you, Monique, and good morning once again to everyone. I hope you're enjoying the session today. This session, of course, is focused on career development. And I didn't actually get to see the presentation of JC together with his dad. I understand it was more of a table talk type of presentation. Okay. Welcome JC to this panel. And of course, my
Hello.
good friend, Mr. Alvin, was his Huban. Bago na naman ang pang-apelido mo ngayon, ah.
Yeah.
Okay, and of
We're
course,
here again.
nice to see you. Was this Emperor? For those of you who doesn't know yet, Alvin actually was the team manager of the Philippine esports team during the last Southeast Asian Games, where we actually came out, the grand champion there. Okay.
3 golds, 3 golds.
So, anong games yung nilaro natin doon?
Mobile Legends, syempre. And of course, Dota. And what was the third? Oh my God, I forgot the third. StarCraft.
Okay. Congratulations once again, and more power to your federation. And of course, Kurt was recommended to me by one of my young friends, Earl Valencia. Welcome to this panel, Kurt. Let me throw off the first question to JC here. JC, if there are 3 things that you can actually advise to young people who's still looking for their first job, what are those?
Well, 3 things.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So number 1, I would say, just apply to as many places as you can. A lot of people will try to go to one company or 2 companies that they think are good, but especially when you're just starting out, it doesn't matter that much which company you go to. Just go somewhere that you can learn something. Number 2, when you get out of college or even high school, you're gonna have to throw a lot of knowledge out the window, because the kind of programming or other things that you do at an actual job is going to be very different from the things that you learn in school. If there's a third thing, maybe it doesn't always have to be a programming job for your first job. It could be other things. You could do other things first and then learn how to program on the side. So that would be what I'd say.
Okay. By the way, JC, did you work your first job? Did you actually work with your with your dad?
Yeah, that was my dad's company.
Okay. Kurt, in your case, what are those 3 things? Okay, I know you had this closing slide a while ago. Okay, talking about passion, which is really very, very important. Other things, but if you were to choose 3 things that you would advise our young people who are just looking to actually land their first job, what will those be?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess first, like related to passion. I know a lot of people that haven't found it yet. So yeah, I guess if you haven't found it yet, try to like stick to one thing, like thing that a thing that you would, I guess that would you would gravitate towards to, and just try to see that and like see where that leads you. Like I guess related to like JC's answer, it doesn't have to be a programming job, but if it's something that you could potentially like, try to see it through rather than being undecided. So that's one, try to decide on like what you want, I guess. um Three, right? Oh man. Yeah, and then like second would be like the like yeah to keep yourself updated on like whatever is happening. Like let's say you have this stack, I guess. Maybe you choose mobile, maybe you choose like backend web, maybe you choose like AI. Try to be updated, like try to learn everything that you can, like like I said, like be a sponge and like try to learn everything. Everything's always changing, so you have to know like what's happening. So if not, you're going to get, I guess, left behind. So yeah, make sure that you still know like what you're kind of pursuing. And yeah, I guess network, especially if you're a newbie. Yeah, like I said, for me, in my experience, like most of the opportunities I had was more from the network, because like I mean, like you're going to be working with people, you're going to be interacting a lot with people, right? And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this is done by people. So yeah, try to build a network. Doesn't have to be really big, but try to get people in your network that, and don't just use them, of course, like try to build like quality relationships. And yeah, that would lead you to like a lot of things, either learning opportunities, fun, whatever. But yeah, try to build your network, try to find and meet a lot of people.
Yeah, thank you, Kurt. Uh, looking back at what Earl Valencia actually was his highlighted yesterday, it has to be a network of positive people who would be able to help you achieve your goal. It's not actually a network of people who can actually drag you down. So,
Yeah.
there has to be a difference there. There has to be a difference there. Okay, Mr. Emperor.
Yes, sir.
We need your 50 years of wisdom here. So if there were three things.
Excuse me, batchmate ko si JC.
Ganun ba? If there were three things that you were actually going to three advices that you can actually give to our young people, what would those be?
Well, especially now, I would give a different tip because of our current situation, and sadly, I think this pandemic thing will last. So there are the three things I'd like to tell them. One is there's an urgency to improve your communication skills. Everyone's saying expand your network, but there's great difficulty right now because we've been in lockdown, for 2 years. So the chance of meeting new people and it's different from meeting people online and face to face. I mean, you and I, Mon, we've been going around for years meeting people, so we've acquired that skill over the years. So when we translate it to online, we have, hopefully, we carry some of the good habits. But now imagine these kids who are in college or just entered college, from high school to college, that never got the chance to interact. So they're losing that part, and it's becoming a big problem, actually, especially for bigger teams. And then you have new guys who just graduated, from college, and it's been so hard to build that kind of culture that is needed by development teams or any team, for that matter. So I have that advice: try to improve your communication skills, but I have no solution for it. I just put it out there that boom, there's a shining red dot there that you have to improve your communication skills in this new kind of digital communication networking thing. And the only advice I could carry with that is still be courteous. Still be courteous. Be on time. Those are the things that would probably help you build your personal brand while you're trying to network. Number two, same as the rest, gather knowledge, suck up knowledge as best as you can. So even though that we are in this lockdown state, gathering, technical knowledge has never been easier. Not during our times, Mon, di ba? Talagang tayo, paper-based pa most of it.
Speak for yourself, Alvin.
Oh my God, naglagan to the max. Okay. All right. So it's really been easy for most of these kids. They just have to want it, They just have to want to look for it. Uh, and third, uh, the next best advice I can give to them is value your hardware. Why am I saying that? Because wala na, if we're gonna stay in this state na we're truly online, we have to, I guess, invest more. I know it's expensive, but we don't have a choice. You have to make your home to be work capable, not just study capable, work capable. And you will have these instances when you're networking that you'll have to do these video conferences. So you got to think about things like audio, lighting, to make again, to help build your personal brand online, because this is the new age that we're in. So those are the three things.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Emperor. A lot of people have been talking about future of work, future of work, future of work, the impact of AI on the job opportunities. Not just probably we don't even have to look 10 years from now, probably 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Uh, can you describe to us what is the future of work? What is it all about? Let me start with you, Kurt.
Yeah. I think I'm the most not the most qualified person to answer this. I'm the youngest. But yeah, I mean, I'll try to
We're
describe
talking of
why
future of work, no? It's
yeah.
probably just like when putting yourself back 5 years ago, you weren't actually expecting this kind of process of environment, and the changes that are actually starting to emerge are very, very profound. So looking at 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and a lot of people have been talking about the future of work. Do you have a description for this?
Yeah. Yeah, at least in my case, like it's more of like an opinion, but yeah, you can like take this with a grain of salt. But yeah, like a lot of people are kind of like thinking of like AI as a replacement for them. Like people are scared that AI would replace them. Maybe some in the tech industry, like maybe there. I mean, there's like a lot of like AI that can also like build code, right? But to me, I think like the future would be like more of like AI augmenting this. Like people see it as a replacement, but I think it would be like an augmentation of what we're doing. So yeah, I think it would be easier. Like I mean, looking back before, right? Like Android was hard, but right now like it's becoming much more easier. And with the help of these like tools, like there's a lot of like tools like what was that, like GitHub Copilot, and like like you can like easily generate your code. But yeah, like I mean that doesn't mean like the AI would like do the job for you. You still have to do it, but you have like those tools that can like augment it and like help your job easier. Yeah, I think like the at least for me, that's my opinion, like how things would go. Like yeah, AI would like help us like do our jobs better.
In your case, JC, can you describe to us what the future of work would actually look like?
Yeah, I think Kurt is definitely right. I don't think AI is going to replace. Actually, I don't think AI is going to replace most jobs anytime soon. AI in general is people like to think of it like it's magic, but it's really not. Somebody has to be there to make the AI. Somebody has to tell it what to do. Uh, the only thing that it automates is how it arrives at the answer or the solution to the things that you want it to do. So I think the future of work, I see it more like what we have now during this pandemic. I think people are starting to realize there are many jobs that don't need to be done in an office.
Correct. Yeah.
And I feel like out of my friends, almost nobody wants to go back to the office. I think I only know like one person who said that they prefer it in an office. And these aren't just programmers. These are people who work in finance, some people who work in like call centers. they've just been happier at home. So that's how I would see the future of work. A lot more of this, a lot more time to yourself.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Emperor.
Mhm. Well, for me, the future, that means that by this time in the future, I would have dominated the world being emperor, so everybody works for me. So I'll be kind of retired, good life, going to the beach na lang. And the rest of the lesser mortals will be pretty much like this. That's why I guess it's important for me for the future of work that we get to build that personal brand, to get all those good habits and, you know, make more Filipinos globally ready to tackle work. It's really sad. It's really sad, and a few friends have shared this to me. We've had brilliant engineers here in the Philippines, and then a friend of mine went abroad to this European country and offered a project. And okay, the client says, "All right, fine, we'll do that project. How much is it? It's this much, no problem." And then that client asked, "Oh, but where's the project going to be done?" "Oh, my people are in the Philippines." The client cut the project cost in half. Oh, so that's not good, right? Because parang ganun lang. So we have to get that, so we have to build up our branding and tell the world that when we Filipinos say global class, that means global pay. It's the same thing. And it'll take probably a generation or two to do that, but we have to start now. We have to start now.
Thank you. When I was starting, was this in the IT industry, very, very few people actually realizes that I have worked for the industry for quite some time. Okay, before I joined government, I joined the industry probably just about 10 years ago. Okay.
Yeah. Let's talk about black and white pictures. Okay, so yeah.
When Kodak and people like Nokia were the brand names.
Kurt is going, "What's Kodak?"
I don't think people know what that is anymore.
But my point is that when I was starting in this industry, a lot of people were actually working in workplaces like the data center, because at that time, when you say we have a computer in the office, okay, you're actually basically talking of one whole floor housing a computer, hardware complex there, the data center. And if you look at what's happening today, a lot of those people who were actually working in those data centers, they're gone. Okay, because people have moved to the cloud, so there's no need for huge data centers to actually be maintained and managed. Okay, as far as you guys are concerned, okay, what new jobs that we do not yet see today, well, you think will actually arise in the next 2 decades, in the next 20 years? Interesting question, right? JC, let me start with you.
Oh man.
That's a challenge.
I'm gonna try and predict what
you
jobs
can do it, JC, because Kurt and I don't know shit.
I'm gonna guess some kind of like AI engineer of sorts. Like there's I think like the idea of a programmer will evolve to be quite a bit, more vague than just writing code. I think the way that we interact with computers is going to be very different. So maybe we're going to find that writing code actually isn't the best way to tell a computer what to do anymore. So I see that. Maybe some kind of some kind of like social media scientist. Like somebody who looks at social media and makes some guesses based on like psychology. I could see that more of that happening.
Okay.
That's what I would guess.
Okay. How about you, Kirk?
I tried to think like, but you know what? It's like super hard. But yeah.
So after Kodak, Kurt got shocked. What's Kodak?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, like Kodak, this is the camera, right? But yeah, like I mean, like speaking of like new jobs, like yeah, I'm kind of like more in the direction like JC as well. Like I think people like I know we have AI engineers right now already, but I think like it would advance like a whole lot more. Like let's say like it's just like super idealistic that like right now we're doing programming. Maybe in the future like people would just be more geared in product development. Like they have this super advanced AI, like they would just say that, hey, I want this sort of app or feature, and then, like like everything does the job for them, and like people are putting more focus towards building something rather than learning how to build. So yeah, I mean it's super idealistic, and like again, this is super opinionated, but yeah, I think it's more going towards there that it's going to be more AI oriented. Not sure what the specific job is. Like it's super hard to predict like 20 years ahead. Like it could change at any point, but yeah, I think it would move towards that direction.
Well, for me, being the elder person in the group, and I'm the guy in entertainment. So these guys are serious. These two young guys are serious. I'm in the field of entertainment, and even now we have a preponderance of avatars. When we say future, we talk about virtual things and AI. And for games, entertainment, avatars have always been a thing, and that's going to move forward. And I think of these AI powered avatars, which will probably be your legal representative in the digital world. It's going to gather knowledge as an AI, but the job, but gathering knowledge takes time. Just like normal person, it takes time.
Okay.
So I think the job that would come up would be an AI psychologist. AI psychologist to refine that knowledge. We don't want that AI to be destructive. We want that AI to develop more
like
proper
ethics.
emotions, ethics.
Yeah.
Depends who writes the ethics, but things like that. So that would be a great job. An AI psychologist.
That's interesting. That's interesting. One job that I actually could think of because 20 years from now, we need to actually be focused on regulating things like AI. Okay, we have to make sure that all of these algorithms are actually for the good of society, not for the destruction of society. The ethical side of AI, the ethical side of algorithms, the ethical side of robotics. Okay, we need engineers to actually make sure that everything about emerging technologies will be very, very ethical. Okay, and the other job that I'm actually also anticipating would be specialists in the use of putting in algorithms into virtual reality and AR VR, because that's actually going to be developing avatars would actually involve all of these technologies. And another thing that which is really emerging now is actually specialists who are very, very focused on developing digital twins of everything. Digital twin of the emperor, digital twin of JC, digital twin of Kurt. And we all know what is actually the objective of developing digital twins. Okay, so it's going to be very, very interesting 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and 20 years from now. Now, looking at how do we get our kids, our young people, to prepare for the jobs that are not yet there today? Alvin, Mr. Emperor.
Okay, switch off Facebook.
Okay.
Besides that, switch off Facebook. After switching off Facebook, uh, here's I don't know. I don't know if this is baka maraming magalit sa akin. One thing that I want the kids to change, there's a disturbing trend that I've been seeing, especially in gaming, that more and more kids, especially the young ones, would rather watch other people play a game rather than actually play the game. At a very young age, I want them to continue to develop their competitive spirit. That will always be important. Even though we talk about things like ethics, for the future, yeah, but you still have to have that personal competitive spirit in order for you to really progress, to make yourself better, more useful. I don't believe that everybody who joins a contest should win a consolation prize. No, no, no. There will be winners and losers in life, and you need your competitive spirit to drive you forward. I'm just worried that so many kids now are becoming snowflakes. Don't be a snowflake. I mean, even with the jobs that JC or Kurt are in, there's a lot of there's a lot of iteration in the things that they do. Iteration means changes. And surprisingly, right now, a lot of kids get offended when you correct them or call them out. They're becoming snowflakes. That's becoming, yeah, I don't want this trend to continue on. We need stronger children, with a competitive spirit. That is my best advice.
Very, very true. Very, very true. How about you, Kurt?
Yeah, well, for me, I guess I think I really value on like setting your sights on something. So
Okay.
yeah, like, I mean, for you to prepare, like you should know what to prepare for. So yeah, I mean, I've been talking about like figuring out what you want, or like finding something that you may want. So yeah, I think that's really important. Like I've been repeating it all over, but yeah, I mean, yeah, try to set your sights on something. Um, yeah, like if it's not a competitive force that's driving you, then it should be like, I guess, you and your I guess your want for that. And yeah, that would make you like grow further and like I guess do what you can to like reach whatever you're targeting for.
Thank you. Thank you. JC.
Well, teaching everybody programming is probably a good step. If everybody knows how to code, they'll at least understand how they're, everybody has a computer in their pocket now. Everybody has multiple devices now. Well, not everybody, but people have a lot of computers now, and most people don't understand how their computers work. So that would be a good step towards it. But bigger picture, maybe we would want to focus more on the humanities side of computers, because like you said, somebody has to figure out the ethics of everything that we're doing. That's something that's been severely lacking in tech as a whole. I mean, all of the awful things that Facebook has been doing, and it's very clear that there's a lack of humanities in tech because we're STEM. I mean, people think that it's not important, but I think it is.
Yeah.
There's an art to programming.
Okay. Now let us look at the other side. Okay, we a while ago we talked about jobs that will actually be coming into the picture, although we don't see them yet today. Okay, what jobs you think would not be there anymore after 10 years? 10 years from now. JC, let me start with you now.
Oh, okay.
During my time, JC, okay, we used to have a lot of people whose job was to actually encode data.
Yeah.
We call them the data encoders. Remember those? Okay, they're gone, totally gone. Okay, so that's just an example of jobs that just disappeared.
I don't think those guys are gone. I think they just encode other things. Like
Yeah, they're encoding other things now.
yeah, like more complicated stuff. Maybe that's one. Today's data encoders probably also would be gone. They'd be doing something even more complicated now. Or like I would hope that we could eliminate a lot of manual labor jobs, but you know, I would want to be careful not to just leave a whole bunch of people unemployed.
Yeah.
Maybe I know that there's some emerging technologies in medical tech and med tech where they're trying to eliminate a lot of paperwork by just listening to what the doctor says and then having AI transcode some of the stuff about the patient. So I think that's one.
Okay, thank you. Kurt?
Yeah, for me, like like with JC, those things that could be manual. Yeah, like automation has been like is already trying to like move forward. So yeah, probably those things that could be automated, like let's say factory workers, like we have robotics technologies right now that could do those. Maybe even like restaurants in the future, like you know I'm not sure, but like it's in Japan, right? Like they even have like robots trying to do the jobs over there. So yeah, probably those are things that require manual labor. But yeah, in the tech field, I don't see anything that would be like obsolete as of the time. Like with data encoders, I think they would still be there because like let's say like we move into an AI driven like field, you still need to like feed the AI some data, right? So you have to still do that data encoding one way or another. But yeah, I think those things that require manual work.
They're now called data engineers, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Emperor, 10 years from now, do we still have need for, chairman of the Games Development Association of the Philippines?
Definitely.
Or,
Yeah, you can't do without that. There will be no life without that role, sir. Life will be useless. Just kill ourselves. Yeah. But again, for the lesser mortals, I think in the IT ecosystem, a job that would probably disappear are the PAs. Now, there's still a lot of projects right now, and you still employ project assistants, but technology would have evolved that everybody will still have an assistant, but not a human one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's my quickest answer. Because yeah, I mean, although I know it's still necessary now, being a PA is part admin, part I don't know, many parts. It's usually a very very gray area. But I'm kind of sure it's going to disappear. It's disappearing right now.
Okay, thank you. This is going to be a very a question where I need quick answers. Okay, probably at the most three examples. What technology skills are actually most sought after today by IT companies? Kurt, you're a startup.
Well, yeah, I mean, like being in a startup, like you would have to like work on a lot of things. So like for me, it would be like trainability, not really tech skills, but not trainability and like I guess like just like that wanting to learn, because like yeah, I mean everything's evolving, so everything's changing. So yeah, you need to be like be able to be quick on your feet and be able to change. Yeah.
Okay, JC, in your case.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think you're going to have to train people anyway. So somebody who can learn very well is very good. Somebody who understands that technology is constantly changing and actively advocates for your company to evolve with it is good too.
Mr. Emperor?
You need to value the role of the chairman of the Game Developers Association of the Philippines forever.
Okay.
It's very, very important.
Okay.
Yeah, very important. But yeah, it's I'm gonna jump on the same wagon as these two folks. Learning how to learn seems to be the best tool that people need right now. Learning how to learn, yeah, because everything's changed, man. Everything's changed.
Okay. Okay. Great. Now, I need parting words from you guys, and I'm going to start with you, Mr. Emperor.
Vote wisely. So if you
It has to be a wise
Yeah.
one.
vote wisely. Right. That's the best advice we all need. But,
Tell that to our kids from Visayas and Mindanao.
yes, from Visayas and Mindanao. Vote wisely. Yes, vote wisely. But always use technology for good. That's my best.
Great, great, a great one. JC.
If I'll always pursue learning and expanding your mind, and just remember that the only way to get good at anything is to keep doing it.
Thank you, thank you. Kurt, your parting words?
Yeah, again, like I said earlier, like figure out what you want and, just keep on growing that and yeah, making yourself a better version of yourself. So yeah.
Great. Kurt, Mr. Emperor, JC, well, extend my regards to your dad. Thank you so much. It has been a very interesting conversation this morning, and thank you for your time, not just for doing your presentation a while ago, but as well as joining this conversation, this panel conversation. So thank you, and more power to the three of you. Monique, back to you.
Thank you. Vote wisely.
All right. Thank you, Sir Mon. Thank you so much for moderating. And of course, thank you to our panelists, Kurt, Alvin, and JC. Thank you for sharing your perspectives that could inspire the next successful move of our participants. Thank you for joining us. We will now have a 60-minute break for lunch, okay? 1 hour. So when we come back, we'll be having our second keynote speaker for the day. So don't be late. But before we go to our break, again, we would like to thank our sponsors for making Y4IT 2021 happen. Thank you to ASUS, PayMaya, Smart PLDT, Oracle, Linux Professional Institute, Palo Alto Networks, Microgenesis Business Systems, Archer M Security, Empire Locks, Felta Multimedia Inc., Panadera de Pantoja, and Teleperformance. Before our break, we'd like to mention that we are looking for info system developers and web app developers. So if you would like to start your career in these positions, please send your CVs to Janine Gatchalian at jfgatchalian@up.edu.ph. For more info, please see the details on what's shown on the screen. For students, here is how to request for your Y4IT 2021 e-certificates. Please use the bit.ly link showed on your screens right now. We'd also appreciate if you could use the feedback link. Please make sure to be careful to type the link correctly, as this can be case sensitive. An e-certificate will be provided for a fee of 100 pesos per session attended and a total of 600 pesos if you will join all 6 sessions. The e-certificate will be sent via email as soon as we have verified your participation and an e-copy of your payment receipt uploaded via the request form. You can also opt to make a one-time payment. So if you choose to attend all 6 sessions, for payments, we have GCash, PayMaya, Landbank, and BPI available. Payment instructions are available via the request form, all right? Lastly, if you have any questions about our speakers, about the presentations, copy of the presentations, go ahead, please email us at info.y4it@upsitf.org. Last but not the least, guys, keep your eyes peeled as we'll be giving out the mechanics on how to join our raffle later. Yes, you heard it right, may raffle tayo. You may win amazing prizes from our wonderful sponsors. So guys, we'll now have a 1 hour break for lunch. So we've got more interesting topics for discussion this afternoon. So please be back after 1 hour. So enjoy your lunch and see you.